Welcome everybody to another episode of XN Interviews. I'm your host, XN. Joining me as always is JX. How you doing tonight, man?
I am doing great. I'm happy to be here and to have a really special guest.
Go ahead and tell them who it is.
It is Kabam Jax.
Hey,
Woohoo!
hey, hey, everyone. Thanks for having me, guys. Of
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for joining us.
course, happy to be here.
Awesome. So our first question is usually how did you get into Kabam, or what is your introduction to Marvel Contest of Champions?
I've been at Kabam for about 4 months now. Prior to that, I was itching to find my way into the games industry. Basically, COVID took a lot from a lot of people, and it acted as a full reset button for me, and I started over entirely. I went back to school. I moved west. I was studying broadcast and online journalism, and got fed up with that, a little frustrated, and just kind of took a second to step back and say, what am I actually truly passionate about? And it was games, and it's always been gaming for me. And I just kind of started to do some research, make some connections, build out the network a little bit, and then Kabam was a major part of that that research process, and then landed in an interview when the community manager role opened up on mcoc. Went through that whole process and kind of never looked back. I'm thrilled to be where I am now.
Awesome. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what you do, what do you do at Kabam?
So I'm the community manager, and I'm part of the community management team, I should say. It's not just me by any means. We still have Mike kicking around, and we've got a couple others with some degree of responsibility. And we work as a team, and we work really well as a team, I think. So a community manager within MCOC is kind of responsible for encouraging interaction amongst the community, both on a providing different opportunities to engage, but also kind of adding some depth to those opportunities, which we can talk a little bit more about later. I'm sure it'll come up. And then on the other side of it, it's really entertaining because not many people in my day-to-day life engage in gaming the way that we do. So they're like, I don't know what you do. So the way I always kind of explain it to them is that I basically act as a middleman for communication between community and game team. I find that that's a really, really important thing that I value most within my job, is being able to go back and forth and say, hey, game team, we have a few reports of so and so of this potential issue. Can we look into it? And then vice versa, going back to players and being like, hey guys, I know you're frustrated about whatever this issue may be. I'm going to try and get as much information for you as I can, and let you guys know what's going on and what we plan to do with it. So that's it, and not so short of a nutshell.
Okay. Jay, you got the next question?
I do. So, how did you choose your Kabam name?
So I have actually been a live streamer myself for the last 2 years. It was basically part of what my reset was when the pandemic happened. I lacked community. I was kind of ripped away from a lot of my friends and family as a result of having to move back home, and I wanted to rebuild this sense of community. So I turned to live streaming myself, and I went under the moniker of Flannel Jax. And then from there, coming into work at Kabam, it was a pretty easy swap. It was a conversation we had pretty early on about being like, well, are you sure? Like, you might not want to let people know right off the hop here that you're also a streamer if they can get to you. The state of the community is a little bit up in the air. People are a little bit frustrated. It might not be a good time, which I kind of agreed with. But we're feeling like we're in a better place now. So yeah, there was definite conversations about that. But switching Flannel Jax to Kabam Jax was a pretty simple no-brainer for us.
Yeah,
Okay. Very nice. Go ahead, Jay.
yeah, it works well.
Thanks.
Yeah. So what goes into being a community manager, and how is it working with Mike and their different teams?
Mike's fantastic. I mean, Mike was my first interview when I was trying to come to the team here in Kabam, and right from the get-go, just clearly a person who exudes passion for what they do and for this community. Um, Really, honestly, I mean, we sit next to each other in the offices, and we work together pretty much every day. And it's team's always been a big thing to me personally. I grew up playing team sports, and I always find that really important. Um, so to be able to pretty effortlessly work well with another teammate is kind of a dream for me. But yeah, in terms of like the day-to-day stuff, it's a lot of keeping up with the forums, which has its challenges sometimes. But then also kind of looking to bigger scale, larger reaching opportunities to engage with the community. So we do some stuff like inside the contest, which I hope some people have seen.
Oh yeah.
Really enjoy doing that. We've also recorded a second one. Well, I should say fifth one, but the second one for me. I really enjoy doing that. It's a lot of process of kind of digging around and rummaging with the game team and being like, what's new and exciting? What do you guys want to highlight so that we can go and tell the community and everyone else can get involved and really start kind of facilitating this hype train type of environment. So it's a very collaborative position, and it's a very it exists in a lot of different spaces, right? You're talking to the game team, you're talking to the people working on the champions, you're talking to the people that are responsible for getting crystals in front of people, and it's a job that touches a lot of different departments for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Um, so I wanted to bring up you. You mentioned some of your streaming. What is your favorite game to stream so far?
So I'm a little all over the place. It's definitely a variety stream. When I started, it was a lot more horror focused. Dead by Daylight was one that I returned to very frequently, and I still do on occasion. I think one of my favorite, well, no, I know actually. My recent favorite has been Cult of the Lamb. That was just an incredibly like it was so bizarre. It's such a strange combination of things in that it's relaxing and it's about a mass murdering cult run by cute little animals. But it was the whole approach to my personal stream is community involvement and like warmth, welcoming, acceptance, encouragement of the community. So that game had an opportunity to directly engage with the community all on its own and bring people into the cult, and they get to choose their own cute little critter, and that was a lot of fun. So for me, that's definitely been a favorite in recent memory.
Okay, awesome. What else you got over there, Jay?
Okay, well, so you've obviously recorded the videos at the office. What's the funniest moment at the office, the Kabam HQ?
I mean, it's a little all over the place. It's definitely a professional environment, but there is definitely a sense that yes, we create fun. So the people that are working there are working hard, but also acknowledge this element of there's got to be an enjoyment in what we do. So I don't know that we have a absolute standout moment for number one funniest, but something entertaining that's kind of happened recently is sticking around after hours to socialize is something that we'll do maybe once a week, and just it's good for morale and bringing the group together. And like I said, it's a team to me as well. But we created just out of sheer desire for play, I guess, like a somewhat office golf game where we had a red plastic cup that we would set up as the target, I guess, and then we would have a Gatorade cap that we were just flicking and having it float around the office, and it became like within an hour of playing, it became a needlessly competitive battle of like just trying to set each other up and really really put the pressure on each other, and it was just a good time. Yeah, basically once a week we have these good opportunities to come and hang out.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Um, what can you tell us about Seven Stars and Ascension and Relics?
So I don't know that I have much more information than what's already been kind of put out there. And I was, the whole process leading up to it. And then once it finally arrived, this kind of progression roadmap, it was a nerve-wracking process for sure. It's something that we want the community to understand, that we are we're trying to learn from mistakes of the past, right? We're trying to take into consideration that feedback. Ascension, as far as I'm aware, again, being here for 4 months, I wasn't here for the 6-star launch, but it seems to me that Ascension is literally born from this idea that people playing the game were incredibly frustrated when it felt like an entire roster reset to hit 6 stars, right? So I don't know that I have a ton more to share outside of what everyone knows. I really, really appreciated what the CCP did, and kind of, it felt exciting to them to be able to pull everyone into a room and be like, "All right, gang, this is what we've got going on, and we're hoping you're excited for it. So let's see." And they did. They ran with it. I sat and watched like multiple 20, 30-minute videos as people kind of broke down, not just what they knew, but what they felt about it and how they were anticipating it kind of playing out in the future. And then on top of that, the CCP, the content creator program, really did, without us forcing it on them, they really did kind of get the message that we were hoping that they would. That all three of these components are kind of working together to create something new, something that needed to happen anyways, right? In terms of progression, something for people to chase, but also a different approach to it that adds, yes, complexity, but also some customization and some pretty cool stuff. And at the same time is respecting the work that everybody put in to grow the rosters to the point it's at now.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned the CCP and working with them. What is it like to join a new company and to work with the CCP?
Honestly, it's probably one of the best parts of my job. Everyone who works in the content creator program is all very passionate, but they all have layers of entertainer within them, which I think is fantastic. It creates a level of charisma that makes just kind of checking in on everybody and seeing the chatter very entertaining. It's also great that they kind of have they're able to put their own stamp on the game themselves, in a sense, right? Their feedback is not just like, it has a completely different level of, it's not me saying I'm gonna pass this along to the game team. No, the game team is there. The game team is in there. It's in the trenches with the content creators and saying, what do you guys think about this? Like, is this something that you personally would enjoy? Do you think that your circles would receive this well? So to kind of see that collaboration process on top of everything else is really fulfilling and encouraging for me.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
I love the CCP, and that's what people obviously don't. People who aren't in the CCP don't get to see that, but that's exactly what it is. It's that relationship between the developers and the people in the CCP to make the game better. So yeah, people say that doesn't happen in the CCP. You're dead wrong.
Yeah. Maybe I'll find out one day.
Yeah.
It's something. Don't worry. I'm having a conversation.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Hopefully we can make it happen.
Okay. So how was where are we? Okay. What can you tell us about working on writing and hosting video content like inside the contest?
I really like it. I really enjoyed it. Again, it's a level of collaboration. So it's something that I get to go to the game team and say, what's new and exciting? What do you want people to know about? What do we think people are going to be hyped about? So it's kind of an exciting process right from the get-go of literally actively trying to find things that are going to be exciting. And then that collaboration kind of extends to now a video team. And in a previous life of mine, I was pretty involved in some digital creation stuff outside of just live streams and things like that. So it feels like kind of stepping back into to old shoes for me, something just cozy and comfortable and familiar. But I really, really do enjoy it. It's something that I got weirdly possessive of pretty quickly. Like I was brand new into the company, and I didn't know. I knew what what Inside the Contest was, because before I had started my interview process, I went and checked out. I was like, what are we doing to engage the community? What does MCOC do to engage the community? So I knew what MCOC was in that sense, but I didn't know the process of what went into it. So it was something that going through it the first time around and collaborating with the marketing team, and like I said, talking to the game team and getting an idea of what we should be talking about, and how can we present this in a way that's most exciting, and all of these sorts of things. It's something that I was like, I'm very, very invested in this. I want this to go well. I want this to be awesome. And you know what? The one that we put out that I had a hand in, I was very excited with how it played out. Big shout out to everyone who helped put that together. And then again, even having people from the game team come in and share their own piece is a different story, right? Like, it's one thing for me to take that and say, okay, I think I can communicate on your behalf, versus, okay, let's work together so that you can tell people and that they can put a face to a name and understand that, yes, this is a human working on this game, and this is, oh, that's what they do at the company. That's so cool. And like, for me, that first video, seeing the interview between Mike and then Tyler and Harold from the game team, that was it for me. Like, that was my favorite moment, was seeing that collaboration and the back and forth and the banter, and you can see the camaraderie there. And to me, it's an important feature of letting the community know that there are real human beings working on these games, because I know it's a passionate fan base, but they can see red sometimes, and some of the nastiness that's come out, and it's just like blanket statement about game team or Kabam in general. And it's like, in my eyes, the more we can put real people in front of the camera and have them tell the audience what they're excited about, to some level, I hope that a residual effect of that is people in the community say, oh, yeah, they're just people. You know, sometimes mistakes are made, and I don't need to curse them out on the internet.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I used to make the videos breaking each one down. I didn't do it for the last one. I'm sorry, but
that's okay. That's okay.
No, that's exactly, yeah. Like, putting faces to name is cool, and the Inside the Contest videos, they give us like so much information. You know, like that one was Act 8, Battlegrounds, Cytalis, which I was excited for because she was in MROC, the final cutscene. And the next month's Champs as well is like, that's really exciting, and again, to see the actual people that work on it, and the bloopers at the end was just hilarious.
You know what? I'm glad you brought it up, because I thought about it and then I forgot as I just went on a long-winded rant. The bloopers, those are my favorite part of the whole video. And in the first cut, I'll tell you that they were about a minute long, and then the feedback was, yeah, they're great, but pick one or two, because you can't let the video run for a minute of just people stumbling over words or making fun of each other.
I don't know. I kind of saw that minute video, and it was pretty funny.
It was great. I love it.
Yeah.
I think Mike and I were talking about it once we saw that first cut, and I was like, if they're gonna cut down the bloopers for the full release, we should definitely get the blooper reel ourselves. Like, I want to hold on to this. This is very entertaining. And again, it just shows the chemistry and the enjoyment and the banter back and forth between people.
Yeah.
It definitely shows you guys really care about.
Yeah, no, you can go. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, definitely shows you guys really care about each other, and like you said, have that camaraderie.
Yeah, it's a group of passionate people at the very least. Like, again, I know it seems easy for, at times, community to say Kabam is the worst, right? And realistically, when you break it down, that every single person I've interacted with is passionate about what they do, and they're trying to make things better and more enjoyable for people. So having a moment where you can sit with each other, talk about what you do for a living, and laugh and enjoy yourself, I think is something pretty special.
Absolutely. Like, I'm so looking forward to the next one. I'll
Yeah.
make a breakdown on it.
Yeah, I wrote helped write the next one as well. Like I said, it recorded. We're still, the editing process is much longer than I've ever experienced in my life
A lot of
for
it.
other videos. Like doing it in a professional capacity, right? Like I've created content in I imagine similar ways to a lot of the content creator program where it's like, cool, I'm gonna get this done today, and you just sit down and you get it done. But now it's like in a professional, like corporate manner where, okay, yeah, we have a department to do that for you. I'm like, oh, I don't know what this is about at all. So like the process is longer, and it's exciting. It just kind of builds hype. And like I said, we get to see the first cut and the second cut, and kind of ask for changes or make adjustments and keep going that way.
It's awesome. Um, yeah, you can. Do you have some of your like you said you're invested? Does some of your streamer side, your personality, come into the inside the contest videos?
Oh, big time. Big time. It's an opportunity for me to kind of flex that muscle. In my previous pre-COVID life, I was a performer, and that's what I did professionally, and was able to travel around the world, and was really fortunate to do that for about a decade. And then COVID said, no, 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 no live performance and no travel. And I went, oh. So, starting my own Twitch, that was another itch that it scratched, was this element of performance value, and in being in front of a crowd is something I've always enjoyed doing. And I love hosting things. So hosting ITC, I just kind of jumped at the opportunity, and being a part of that. And then, yeah, just being in front of a crowd and presenting information for some reason is it's built into my DNA, I guess. I just enjoy it. So yeah, you're right. Once I step in front of the camera for ITC, it can. I'll tell you, the last two times we shot, my start was 9 a.m. and I'm not a morning person. And they're like, "Are you good at 9 a.m.?" I was like, "Oh." So like showing up on set and getting a cup of coffee and like grumbling, and then as soon as like the lights come up and they're like, "We're rolling," it's just you flip to a different mode and fully engage in what you're talking about.
That's awesome. I can definitely relate to that. All right. Well, I want to bring this up, and how was so obviously we had the creative director at Kabam, Gabriel Fazera, depart from Kabam, and I was kind of wondering how is the teams feeling about it? Like, how is everyone?
It was definitely a heartfelt moment for me personally. I had only met the man, the myth, the legend a handful of times personally, so I didn't have like quite as intimate a connection as a lot of people did. Um, but anytime anyone spoke of him, it was just like, I'm not, it's not an exaggeration. It felt like they were speaking about a legend, right? So
He is
that
100%.
departure, I didn't know, I don't think I knew personally until the day before his last day. And then he was in the office where I was working for his last day, and kind of seeing everyone's emotional response to that was pretty powerful in a sense. And then at the same time, um, like there was a bunch of internal emails just kind of wishing him the best. And he seems like, as I get my bearings more and more about what this game's all about and how it works behind the scenes, he was, from my understanding, essentially a foundation, right? It was a constant that everyone was able to kind of connect the dots with. And yeah, Gabe was a heart and soul of the creation of the project to an extent. So in terms of how the team's feeling, like everyone wished him well, and is excited to see what he does next. And clearly a very, very talented man, and very personable in the few times I interacted with him as well. So that's always something to see, that there's a level of humble that accompanies the level of genius. And there's nothing worse than talented people who are mean. But the team is sad to see him go. I'm sure there's enough personal connections there that people will keep in touch. But it also seems like there's this kind of unanimous feeling that he left the project in good hands. I don't know to what extent he was involved in the process of saying, okay, here's who I want to take over, but everyone else still seems very confident with where it's going from here on.
Awesome. Like I've been following him. I mean, since really the beginning of the game. So it's pretty insane that he left and he's working on something new, which I'm super excited for. But that's good to hear that we're in good hands. It's so insane for someone so high up and worried about concerned with the future of the game story wise. Like it's so interesting to see what his legacy is really.
Yeah, I mean, it's that level of passion that we've already discussed a couple times today, but if that's if you have someone in that position with that level of excitement and passion for what they do, the trickle down effect is inevitable, right? And you bring in more people that are passionate in their own ways, and it just kind of that level of collaboration just grows and grows the more people bring their own passions forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have a question here actually. What are your thoughts about community created Battlegrounds tournaments? Any thoughts on how Kabam can support and encourage these?
I love them. When we first launched the mode, we were really, really excited, and there was a lot of conversations about how this is one of the biggest things we've added to the game in a long time. And I'd only been here for 3 months, and I was like, it's definitely the biggest thing that we've added since I've been here. But it was something that we were really excited, and one of the reasons why was we're excited to see what the community does with this. This felt like not just a game mode for some people, but also kind of a creative tool that we were giving to people, and it was something that the CCP was adamant about from the very beginning. And we were thrilled. We were kind of keeping tabs on the first couple tournaments as they were happening, and I've definitely been a part of internal conversations where we want to see more and what can we do to help support. So there's been a number of different conversations, and nothing's concrete. It's what I like to say in the forums sometimes when I'm like, I'll give you guys a little insight, but just so you know, like, you can't come back to me in the end and be like, well, you said, because nothing's ever finalized until it happens, right? But whether that's helping promote from a marketing standpoint, or helping incentivize participation, or doing something in the ways of, cool, can we help provide a like a prize pack, an incentive for the top performers in this tournament and stuff. So it's very cool being a community manager and seeing the community come together as a community. I think that was a really, really fulfilling time when those first tournaments were really hitting. And in terms of facilitating more in the future, it's something that as the game mode grows and develops and evolves, we want to attempt to be a little bit more involved when we can. But, in the meantime, we hit certain roadblocks that the community run tournaments won't, if that makes any sense. There's a lot more kind of red tape for us to navigate to make sure that things are done a very, very specific way. For example, if we brought you two on and we're like, okay, now fight, you guys have to be on your best behavior and you can't swear, and all of these different corporate guidelines we have. Whereas you guys run your own tournament and you guys could threaten each other's lives repeatedly, and there's nothing that would stop you, right? So there is a level of freedom there that we were excited to see and very happy to encourage.
I would love to see like face to face. Like I've gone to so many Call of Duty tournaments, and just like the shit talking that would happen.
Yeah.
If this was like at an event, would be hilarious.
Yeah, I grew up playing hockey and lacrosse, which are both very Canadian sports, but very contact, very aggressive sports. And the way that I played them was as a bit of an agitator. So the trash talk was something that when you see good trash talk, even if it's directed at you, you got to pay it some respects,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So who are your favorite champs in game right now?
Great question. I love Guillotine. Guillotine was like a first love for me, in that I think Guillotine was like my first 4-star, and then moving forward also as 5-star, and just a pretty simple rotation for me. It's a very important thing that I make people aware that I'm not as good as you. And like you may be hearing this and you're like, me? Yeah, probably you. Like me being on this game for, maybe 6 months because I started playing it before I was hired, just trying to get a lay of the lands. Um, I'm not good enough to be on stage with other people in any sort of competitive way. So those battleground tournaments, I don't anticipate me being there anytime soon. This game's huge. There's so much to learn, and I think that's what excuse me, I think that's what appeals to a lot of people about it as well. There's a level of depth that if you want to dive in, it's there for you, right? It's one of those beautiful sweet spots of easy to pick up and difficult to master. And the level of play that I see from our CCP and live streams, like I'll spend time literally just searching who's live. Are people live on YouTube? Are people live on Twitch? I'm going to check out their streams, and seeing their level of play always puts mine to shame. So I kind of go in and go, oh, I'm not doing this right at all. But yeah, Guillotine is a very, very cool character. I like the kit, the gameplay loop that I use works. It might not be the optimal one, but it works. And I think it's super cool that Kabam and this game have had a mark on Marvel as a brand and comics and everything along those lines. Like I was a pretty big comic reader. I didn't get into it until my 20s. But once I was there, I really, really dove into the comics and stuff. And to see that that Kabam and MCOC were able to create characters that actually lived in real, honest to goodness Marvel comics was a very, very cool thing. I remember in my first couple weeks working at Kabam when people were kind of breaking down these characters that, oh yeah, these are our characters and now they exist in Marvel stuff. It was a very, very cool moment. And I don't think that there's a ton of games that contribute to their franchises in that capacity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's so cool. You're talking about Guillotine because she has a 616 version in she's in multiple comics. It's insane, really.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about your introduction to Marvel. What did you get into reading first?
So to me, it was my early 20s, and I'd always had this admiration for comics, but from a slight distance, because getting into comics is very overwhelming. When I was doing my own content creation stuff, I was hosting and running a travel vlog, and I was just so fortunate to travel so much with my previous job that I was all over the world and was like, cool, let's highlight some stuff. And my favorite stuff to do was what I called nerd abroad, and just going into different really nerd focused establishments and having conversations and highlighting certain things. So like I did an esports bar in Brussels, Belgium, which was really cool. They're literally like, yeah, we have 5 gaming computers and you come in and play, or we'll broadcast these big esports matches and stuff. But I had a conversation with someone in Australia at a comic shop that was meant to be one of the top 10 in the world. There is there's like a that's very Canadian. There's an Oscars of Canada, of comic books, and they nominated like best comic shop in the world, and they were on the short list, the top 10. And in the conversations I had with one of the managers there, we agreed that getting into comics from absolutely no knowledge is very, very intimidating. Especially with the popularity of the MCU right now. People don't realize that there are multiple timelines and storylines that all kind of exist at the same time, but also not at the same time. So it was very intimidating for me to get involved. But in my early 20s, I had a friend who was big into comics, and I didn't even know. And they're like, cool, let's go find a shop. So there's a place called Newbury Comics in Providence on the east coast of the US there, and we went in there and they literally walked me through, and they're like, okay, read one of each of these, and pulled out like 6 or 7 different comics, and to me the one that resonated most right away was Deadpool. So this was probably 2012, so no film even on the horizon, nothing at all. And just reading those comics, they were so well written and enjoyable. And as much as I love comics, one of the limitations of the medium is if you have a fight scene of any kind, it's told over 2 panels, 3 panels. You know what I mean? You can't get this same cinematic combat that you get in a film or television show. So to me, the level of comedy and wit and creative writing in Deadpool really just worked and resonated with me and pulled me in.
Very nice. We all love Deadpool. We're all excited for the new Deadpool movie.
Unbelievable, yes. Right? They already delayed it, which is weird to me. They already delayed it, but very, very cool. I mean, the process of them announcing it through Ryan Reynolds' socials and his marketing. He's got a marketing firm called Maximum Effort that, I mean, is named after a Deadpool reference, right? So, yeah. It was all just genius the way that they did it, and it makes me excited that there's still a level of creativity and see something new coming to the MCU.
For sure. Jay, you got the next question?
Yes, I do. And I was gonna say, like, Deadpool when I was a kid, like before he got the movies and became mainstream, he was like one of my favorite characters.
Love it.
Like I was like, oh man, you guys are mainstream now, but I was loving this dude since a kid. And even I did Act 2 dialogue today, and in that he's like I'm the boss now, let's go. And in Ultimate Alliance 2, he's a boss in that, and he's like, get ready for a boss fight, suckers. And I put the clip in it, and I was like, it just works so well, and like for Deadpool.
I love him.
I meant to mention this when you're talking about Battlegrounds, but can you speak a little bit on the cheating, like how Kabam deal with the cheating for Battlegrounds?
Yeah, so it's kind of a delicate topic because I know that it is a very, very serious thing and it impacts a lot of people, and a lot of people feel very passionately about it. But at the same time, there is a limitation to what we can say, in the sense that if we share too much, people will adapt to what we explain. So what I can say, I'm not going to say nothing, is that the level of frustration that people are feeling is reasonable and mirrored, if not exceeded, on the game team. The level of frustration that we have internally with it is high. It's something that we know needs to be addressed. It's something that we're working hard to address. It's just about putting the right people in the right place and making big moves like that would, in theory, impact not all of, but a lot of different game modes, right? Because if we come in and we're trying to crack down on modders, which we are, we don't just want that to be something for Battlegrounds. We want Alliance Wars to have that same thing. So putting in a new process is going to impact a number of different portions of the game, and it's a big change. It's a big task, so it's something that unfortunately requires more time. But it is something that's being taken very seriously, and I don't think that people people can't be aware. It's not something that we can share with people, but it is something that we're paying attention to. Like, I see conversations on the forums. Does this report button even do anything? It does. Like, I understand the frustration, and I understand people looking at the leaderboards and seeing, oh, well, this person's definitely a modder, or having these. To me, that's one thing, because we'll go through and we, continuously throughout the season, we comb through the leaderboards to remove modders, and we have this other frustration where we don't have an automation process in place, so that when we do remove modders, people can't see them be removed, right? They still see them on the leaderboards, even if we're looking at our information on the back end and saying, oh, no, this person's not on the leaderboards anymore. It doesn't show the players, and that's the frustration, as well. As much as we can keep telling people that we're removing players, if people aren't seeing it, there's always going to be a level of skepticism there. So, overall, we know it's an issue where it's not something that is being ignored. Something that we are trying to put a lot of different pieces in place in the near future here. But it is the layer of frustration in that we can't actually show you guys what we've done is just one more piece to the puzzle as well.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, now that you say that, it definitely sheds a lot of light on the reasons why we can't see the leaderboards as they are, or after the fact. And we appreciate the transparency for sure.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I know it was one of the goals I had set when I started, and it was something that when I introduced myself, I think to the content creators on our Discord channel, and as well as myself on the forums, striving for increased and improved communication and transparency is what I think is going to allow me to be successful in my role. So where there's wiggle room to have transparency, I'm an advocate for it. So for example, when we were changing the Battlegrounds rewards, and we were changing the systems, kind of approaching the end of season 1, we made changes about a week from the end, and then we made changes going into season 2. It was something that I really wanted to make sure that we hammered home was the intention behind things. That level of transparency to me is, why are we changing things, is going to be the question a lot of times, and that's where I think the transparency can really shine.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Jay, you got another one over there?
Yeah, I've had Trasis in the chat. So getting a lot of questions. He's like, can Kabam make a list of who's banned and have it on their profile?
So this is one that I haven't touched directly, but from the conversations I've heard internally is that the reason we tell players that we can't share information about bans, so notably when people report certain players and say this is clearly a modder, the reason we don't come back to them and be like, thank you, we have banned that person. Apparently that instruction comes all the way down from our legal team, that we are not to out people in that capacity. So not in that sense, that we can't really post like a list of shame, as much as I think it would be impactful. Nothing like social pressure to motivate people to behave. But something to the effect that I'd like to see in the future, and something that we're all hopeful we can work towards, is saying like, okay, we have banned X number of people this season, and this is the impact that it's had, and this is, maybe even some insight into it has required X amount of man hours to make this happen, you know what I mean? Just to give people a sense that we are trying to make strides in the right direction with it, but also that it's not it's not a small task, and I think everyone's aware of that.
It's definitely not. I can tell. I mean, there's a whole team dedicated, I'm sure, to implementing bans and combing through all the data.
Yeah, it's a lot that comes through, right, with every report, for it to be manually done right now. And again, like, there's hopes that the process becomes a little more automated, but we also see it come up in the forums occasionally where people are like, just have AI do it. And we're like, okay, but like, someone has to build that AI, and that requires man hours, and someone has to pay for that AI, which requires money. So like, yes, there's a lot of different solutions that are being explored, but I think the fact of the matter is it's not going to be as fast as anyone, including the people working on it, wants, right? If it's something that I promise you, every single person working on Battlegrounds, working on the game, wishes they could snap their fingers and have everything that they need to tackle it. But it's something that is being taken seriously, and people are, invested in the process of making it better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I was figuring that a wall of shame would really, because of legal reasons. That's why I laughed earlier.
I want a wall of shame for so many things, man.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Okay, well, we have another question, and we've had Gabe on the podcast before. He's talked about this. Is the relationship between Kabam and Marvel? Is there anything? I know you're new, but is there anything you've kind of had to deal with and want to talk about?
So I don't deal with Marvel directly, but in my experience, there's a relatively healthy relationship, at least on the marketing communication side, where I kind of reside. And there's a lot of approvals, but also a pretty healthy kind of mutually beneficial relationship. So it's not just, they allow us to use their brand, and it's a little bit deeper than that, in the sense that we kind of work back and forth. Well, how can we present our game in a way that best represents the brand, and vice versa? How can Marvel enable us to present things in our games, that are topical and exciting and timely in certain capacities? So it is an interesting relationship, and we do have guidelines and restrictions as a result, but I think it enables us to do a lot as well.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, I want to add on
So
that
what is your
real quick.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
he added, does Marvel share about upcoming projects? They do, because they actually, from what Gabe has talked about, like when the Eternals, he's like, they sent it months and months in before, and obviously you have to plan for the MCU releases, right? When we do crossovers.
Yeah, to some extent. I wouldn't say that they give us absolutely everything,
Yeah, I
because
think it's just
Marvel is a
character.
massive machine as well, right? They keep their own cards to their chest on certain things. But there's definitely some situations where, yeah, they'll give us a heads up about something a little bit ahead of time. It's also been kind of comical to it's been kind of comical to see internal meetings. So for example, Thor: Love and Thunder that released recently, we go see it on day one, but some people in the marketing team are part of meetings with Marvel where they'll just say what happens in the
Oh
movie, and
no.
you're like, nobody you want to. And we've had people literally be like, do I have to be a part of this meeting? Can you relay the important things to me? I want to watch the movie and enjoy it, because man, the people that work on it they're fans of Marvel and the MCU. So there's a level of excitement still.
Absolutely. I would be
no
devastated.
spoilies?
Yeah, no spoilers.
Please.
That's hilarious. Um, yeah, okay. So something super exciting is the Summoner's Choice. You kind of talked about it on the forums that I saw, getting some new information pretty soon. Is there any info you can share about it?
So there's not a ton that I can share outright, but I can kind of share when we can share, if that makes
Okay,
any
that
sense.
works.
Yeah.
I've been a part of the process of, or I'm still new, so my opinion weighs slightly less. Slightly, it's a very collaborative thing. So we've looked at the lists. I've seen the preliminary lists. I've seen the lists that they're hoping to move forward with. I've seen all those sorts of things. It's exciting. I know from some of the feedback that I've read in the forums over time is that some characters are brought to the table, and you're like, yeah, they're gonna win. That one's gonna win. The other guys don't stand a choice.
That's what we
They
said
don't
on the
stand a chance, right?
podcast.
They're just gonna win. So a big part of the selection process this time around was, cool, can we put people all from similar tiers? Are these people all going to be similar levels of popularity, so we don't have Kid Kaiju, which was one that I was like, he's sick,
Ooh,
man. He
yeah.
draws kaijus, and they're like, no, probably not, because he is like D level excitement, or popularity, I guess I should say, up
Yeah, yeah.
against like anybody that's huge and highly anticipated, right? So there is active effort that was put into to trying to make them a little start on even ground, I would say. In terms of more information, we'll hear a little bit more soon. We'll hear a little bit more soon.
Okay.
And then it is something we talk about briefly in the next Inside the Contest, which is a little over a month. So
Oh, cool.
there'll be a little bit more information kind of dropped over the next month and a half, which is exciting. Like, to see, this is one thing that seems unanimously well received, which is so rare. Our community is incredibly passionate. The players of this game are incredibly passionate, and I respect that. But there's also, when you get a community this size, it's hard to make a move that makes everyone happy. It's hard. You'll have people with unpopular opinions, so to say, and try to be contrarian and whatever the circumstance may be. But aside from concerns about, well, this person's going to win because they're so much more popular, aside from that, it seems like everyone gets really, really excited about having their own contribution to impacting the game itself. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's been something that we get really hyped up about internally.
Awesome, man. I have a question. So I've been actually contributing to the unofficial wish list. Do you guys look at unofficial wish lists? Or do you guys just kind of know characters' popularity just because you're with Marvel and you read comics and whatnot?
In the forums specifically?
So I know the forums has a wish list, but I meant like on a ranker, like El Gabarino and Jim and a few of the community members. We've made our own wish list that has close to 616 characters, and people can upvote and downvote on it. So is that something you look at, or you kind of look at the forums, or no answer really?
I can say that me personally, I haven't seen that stuff. It hasn't come across. But I'm also not the person who runs the whole thing, luckily. We do try to bring as much community sentiment to these types of things. Anything that impacts the community, we as the community management team try to make sure we have an understanding of how the community will react ahead of time, because nothing is worse than seeing an outrage that you were not prepared for. So those specific details, I don't believe I've seen. And to be fair, I do comb through a lot of our content creator stuff. That one has been elusive to me. But in terms of the level of popularity, yes, there's kind of keeping our finger on the pulse of the community and understanding who has been constantly requested and that sort of thing. The document, as they were picking characters, they had letter gradings. And now that you mention it, I don't know who assigned those letter gradings. It could have been from Marvel directly. It could have just been someone we asked on the street. As far as I know, I don't have that info. But it definitely, we do take into consideration what we have heard from the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was just curious because we've shown that list to Mike and John and
well, if those are the ones that have seen it, those are also the people that have a say in what's contributed. So someone with important eyes has seen it. Yeah.
Perfect. Love to hear it. I'm excied to vote. Like when the last vote came out, I was like, Quicksilver's winning this, like hands down. We said it on the podcast. I was like, he's just too popular not to win it. And well, sorry, Exon didn't because he's.
I didn't want it to happen.
You were trying not to will it into existence, right?
Yeah, man. Beta Ray Bill is my guy.
Beta Ray Bill, hell yeah.
But I'm glad there's gonna be a better balance next year. That's like our critique, the biggest critique on the show is it. And obviously we have Kushala. I voted for Kushala, and so is Xander and Slayer. So little salt right there that she got defeated so fast.
I think there are minor structural adjustments to the next one as well. I think it was another thing to address, kind of making it more fair across the board, because the way that they had done it before, to my understanding, with the bracket system, going head to head, you have two people that could be favorites, but one of them is eliminated right away, right? Yeah. They could be a final bracket. So it is something they looked at, and I'm not sure the exact details to adjustments or how big they are in scale, but it is something that they were definitely aware of.
Cool. Yeah, we'll find out in a month. So I'm excited for that. All right. Well, let's move on to kind of your account in a bit. Do you do Arena or Battlegrounds?
I'm not good enough for Battlegrounds.
It's all good. I don't have that either.
I dove into some arenas mostly for gold grind. But hey, this new thing called solo incursions has been so fun. Like, I know it's hard to it's from the mouth of the people who are promoting it in a sense, but literally as a person who just plays it, if I remove my Kabam cap, it's so much fun. And like I played it duos once or twice, but I understood what everyone in the community was saying, and that it's difficult to find a partner, especially one that's reliable and will come back to things repeatedly. So playing it solo and kind of having these almost rogue-like elements, right? Each run's a little bit different, and there's a little bit of RNG, but it kind of just adjusts your strategy, and it's all pretty manageable. There's a real like cool levels of excitement towards it, and I'm glad that it's been really well received as well.
Absolutely, I love it, dude. It makes we were talking about it before we started live streaming. Like it's really awesome, and it what like you said, like you've had to count on another person, and now you can only account your mistakes to yourself. So
Yeah,
keep yourself accountable.
Yeah. When you fail, you have no one to blame but yourself.
I've been enjoying it. What's the farthest zone you've been to?
Not far. I want to get better at this game, and this has spurred me on so much more. I think I've only gotten to like 5 or 6. But I'm also still very much at the point of like, I don't know specific loops for specific champs outside of just a small handful. And it's kind of cool to me that when I get a new champ and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to learn this, I turn to we have our own deep dives and things, but our content creator program and all the people churning out content for their favorite champs, there's such a wealth of knowledge there that genuinely the level of mutual gain from that program has been really entertaining of being like, cool, I'm gonna encourage you guys to create content, and then your content's gonna teach me how to be better at this. So thank you. Like,
I'm sure Slayer is thinking, do you know a CGR rotation?
Nope.
Oh.
No. But to be fair, he's not on my roster.
Yeah,
so
it makes
sense. I don't need it yet.
He heard rotation and his brain started rotating. He's like, CGR.
Yeah, gotta start opening more dual class crystals for that one.
Yeah.
That's what I do, but I've also been building my team around mutants.
Yeah.
I think it was a Mike influence when I first got there, but
a Cyclops?
Just well, not Cyclops specifically, X-Men in general.
Yeah,
I think is the one that does it. But yeah, he explained the whole Cyclops essentially meme at this point. But yeah, it was just a level of pressure. I'd read a handful of those comics as well, and definitely when I was a kid, seeing the old films, which don't go back and watch them now. they don't hold up. But yeah, there's a level of connection there. And I also had an early game APOC, and I was like, okay, well, that makes this pretty easy. Let's just build a team around him.
Hell yeah. Is there one champ you'd want to add to the game? Like, if you could choose, like, I know when Kabam members, like, they join, they're like, they got to do something on a new character. So is that something you did?
I'm so glad you asked. So it's not something that when I joined, I think on the game side, they might kind of approach people and be like, cool, what are your new fresh ideas that we haven't explored yet? Being a little further from the game development team, it's not something that was part of my onboarding in any way. But recently, have you guys seen Spider Rex from Edge of the Spider-Verse? Yeah. I talk about this all the time, and Mike just like, stop, like, shut up. Like, but to me, Spider Rex is ridiculous that he exists at all. He's hysterical, just the fact that he is a character that's been created, and I want him to come to our game because I just think it'd be so much fun. And we always see a lot of like another Spider-Man, and it was like, yeah, but this one's a dinosaur. So I think there's enough differentiation there.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
Just the sheer size of him.
He would have to come with Moon Girl.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that would be a cool pairing.
Yeah.
Oh man, there was a dinosaur in the 7-year anniversary. I don't think that ever happened. Unless I gotta read the Act 7 dialogue, and I remember Morgan Le Fay in the original one. She would they revealed that if she won, she would have had a dinosaur in her kit. So they were thinking about it. So maybe.
I know that there's this kind of constant conversation of having multiple skins and multiple assets on at the same time. I guess the first time they were able to do that was with one of the Ghost Riders when he rides in on a motorcycle. That's the first time, right? Because that's two separate things existing on as one single player. And it also fuels a lot of the conversations around Mystique and, you know, how can they technologically make this happen. So man,
Tell Mike not to make her turn to every character. He says that he
it's a
wants her to
tough
turn
one.
to all like three, like all characters in the game. Like, you know, make I don't know. Like, I feel like that's a little ambitious to
There's
do.
also been like the other side, like how, and this is just completely not the game team, but just me being like, well, what's the lamest possible way? Could we make her like a Ditto and she just mirrors whoever she's fighting,
Yeah,
but also doesn't have their move set? So cool.
yeah, because she doesn't get powers, right? Like, how do
Yeah,
you?
exactly.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Hmm.
I know. Like, I have like tweets and like interviews of Mystique from like like 3-4 years ago. Like, it's been on the topic of the game for so long.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for when Kabam can do her. I'm sure
Yeah.
it should be great.
I hope so, man. I think just for the level of hype and anticipation, it's going to be a tough one to kind of fulfill those expectations. It's something we talk about on the community management team a lot, where managing expectations. Sometimes
Hmm.
if we hype up things and they fall flat, that's frustrating for the community, and we understand that. But there's also circumstances where the community creates their own hype and we didn't do it, but we still kind of have this responsibility to manage it as best we can. But Mystique's one that I think's been hyped from everyone in
Yeah,
every direction. So hopefully it's something that is pulled off smoothly.
yeah. She's number 3 on the wish list I told you about, the unofficial one, and she's
I
been number
think if
one
she
before.
was, whoa, I think if she was Summoner's Choice, I think she would Quicksilver it and just be
Yeah,
like the clear lead all the way through.
yeah. That's what Jim did. He made what did he do? He did like Frogman, the big wheel, 3D man, and then he put Mystique. Like, Mystique would win that. um.
Yeah,
Oh, and you
flat
mentioned
man.
yeah, Flatman too. And you mentioned skins. I want to see if Relics will actually put skins on champions. Like, I know that's like not like official, right? But I would love if something like that could happen in the future.
Yeah, I think it's rare these days that cosmetics are not something that's really in our game. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So many games, especially things with gacha mechanics, cosmetics are a big part of it. It's another way for people to kind of customize their stuff. The limitation in our sense is definitely the Marvel branding, right? We don't have the same level of freedom. But I'm with you. Like some cosmetic changes would be really cool. I wasn't here. Maybe you guys can tell me. Was there an event where the champs were in big head mode? Like they were
Yeah,
little bodies and there was big heads?
Absolutely.
I think I've seen
There's
videos
been a
once or
couple.
twice.
yeah. April
What?
Fools.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they did it for 4th of July, I believe, right? Or
That's
not 4th of July. It was April Fool's
Yeah,
Day.
yeah.
Was it
April
April
Fools.
Fools? That's so cool. Honestly, that's really cool. But so yeah, like I feel like it is very limited in what we're able to do, but to have a little bit more cosmetic customization, like the profile pics are cool and the titles are cool, but um, I don't know. It feels so rare. It seems like it'd be if there's any wiggle room or way that we can pull it off, I think it'd be sweet.
Absolutely. Or we're always giving feedback. Like, can we get a little bit more cosmetics free? Like, get more freedom with cosmetics. I would love to see it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So have you been playing around in Battlegrounds at all?
Oh,
Battlegrounds. Yeah, Battlegrounds is far exceeding my capabilities. Right now, I'm just trying to push through some story content, and then yeah, solo incursions, man, that's
Okay.
pulled my attention. Faux sure.
Okay. So what is your progression level right now?
I'm still trying to work my way through Act 5. I also have this really, well, it's pretty mild, but if I get particularly stressed about work, I it makes it a challenge for me to open the game in my free time. So my first few like couple months, it was pretty much a couple hours every evening I'm diving in and I'm playing. I'm trying to familiarize myself, but I'm also it's a fun game. So it kind of pulled me in. But as stress levels kind of ebb and flow, there's a level of hindrance to an extent, and having me want to dive right back into it. So it's a slow process. It's a slow process for sure, but I'm working towards it. I want to get better. I want to get better.
You're no MSD yet.
Yeah.
No, not yet. I don't know that it's in the cards for me.
Do you read the dialogue since you're on the act content?
I do. I think it's there was a forum thread about it. I think it was a poll at one point on the forums of people like, do you read the content? And I think it's an underrated facet of the game because the writing is actually pretty entertaining and enjoyable. And the vast number of people that were like, yeah, I'd skip it. I'm like, oh, people work hard on that.
Yeah, that's what my whole channel is about. It's about the dialogue, so it's like my favorite thing, which not many people say.
Honestly, yeah, that's kind of another poll that I think I think that was one of the first things I asked when I'm trying to make the the forums a positive place in some capacity because it can get really overwhelming for a lot of people, but every now and then I'll try and put out a post to just engage in a positive sense. And one of the questions I asked was kind of what is the element of the game that kind of engages you most? And story was one of those options, and I agree. It's awesome, but also the number of people that picked it was not high.
Yeah,
not high enough.
Okay. So is there anything that you would like, or are there any changes that you would want to come to the game?
I mean, it's a huge game. It's tough to say because, as I kind of alluded to earlier, it's hard to make changes that make everybody happy. And as much as we have, yeah, sure, you could give everyone free crystals. That would make them happy. In the short term, yeah, it would. But in the long term, it would really kind of ruin some things. So it is this difficult thing. What I am realizing recently is trying to get a gauge of how many people certain changes will impact. So, for example, going into 8.1 release and Battlegrounds release, we were super hyped. We were super excited for these big changes and these big things and stuff that was really hotly anticipated and very, very frequently requested. We were stoked. We knew how much work went into them. And it wasn't until Solo Incursions just released that I was like, oh, those first two things really impact the people that have been playing this game for a very, very long time and are very skilled at it. And that's fantastic. We absolutely want to keep churning out content for those people. But it wasn't a blanket positive for everyone. Whereas Solo Incursions was. And it's been really cool to see in myself the realization that's something that I maybe had wrong. Or wasn't anticipating, but it's also been really cool to see just the level of impact. So in terms of changes, I would love to say I'd like to wave my magic wand and make everybody happy, but it's a really challenging thing to get right because any change will have people that just don't like change for some reason. But yeah, I read through all the suggestions on the forums. And some of them are fantastic and some of them actually become things. But in terms of my own personal change I'd like to see, I want everyone to be happier. It's great that everyone loves this game. And I love to see that genuinely.
I agree. I feel like people are way too negative and critical all the time.
Yeah, I get it. That's what the forums are for, right? For a lot of people, it's become a venting space. Like we see our biggest peak in forum numbers when something's wrong. And I get it. That makes sense. There is value in that as well. But I would also love to see the forums become this space where people just come and hang out and have engaging conversation about stuff that they love.
Absolutely. Tiberius asked, do you only monitor the forums or do you see like Reddit, line chats, etc.?
We look into Reddit. The thing with Reddit is we don't have any moderator power.
Yeah.
So we'll hang out there, and we really use that to help inform community sentiment. We use it to keep our eyes open for any issues, like bug reports will come through there as well, or certain issues or friction points, and we're very attuned to that. That's something that we look into pretty daily. In terms of line chats, the most that we'll get out of those is usually through our content creator program, when we have people that'll share it voluntarily, but there is also the occasional time that we'll say, hey, we're seeing a little bit of murmur about this in your people's circles. What are you guys seeing? And then we'll get some kind of insight into line that way.
Okay. Very nice. So it's good to see that you guys are looking at all avenues of potential, like, reports.
Yeah, I think
information.
It's important, right? Like I said, with the nature of the forums is people are there when they're angriest. And usually angriest people are loudest. But if that doesn't represent a big portion of the player base, we need to know that as well, right? We're pretty skewed in seeing the same names over and over and over again, and it occasionally requires a moment to step back and say, okay, yes, these people are passionate and loud, but they don't necessarily represent the entire community.
Yeah. Okay. Jay, you got another one over there?
Okay, well, I think it's time. You've kind of talked a lot about stuff coming, but is there anything you can reveal that's coming to the game soon?
Ooh, nothing that I can drop is like a big reveal. I will say that Inside the Contest has some juicy nugs. That's nuggets. I don't know why I short formed it. I'm too old for that. Juicy nuggets that'll be coming out at some point in November. So there's some good stuff in there that we think will get people pretty excited.
Awesome. I don't know if you can reveal this, but is there a narrative roadmap coming in December? I've
seen that information floating around. That it's there are conversations about it. It is, as we've spoken of, nothing's concrete until it actually happens. So I don't know personally, definitively, if that's something that's coming. But it's not something I've not heard about.
Okay, that makes me happy. I love looking at the narrative roadmap and the state of the battle map and trying to predict what's coming. It's like my
yeah, I've seen some pretty cool threads again on the forum of people being like, okay, so here's what I think's coming in December. And maybe not in that specific example, but people making those predictions and me being like, oh damn, they're pretty right. Like there was a moment on yesterday on the forums where I went back to a thread comment that I had taken a screenshot of August 30th. And the thread itself was about Incursions store. And someone was like, oh, this is what I'd like to see from Incursions. And I took a screenshot because at the time I knew, but we hadn't been able to say anything publicly yet. And I was like, this person basically just predicted all of the changes coming to Incursions. So when it went live, I went back to find it and put it back to the top of the food chain in the forums just to be like, you guys need to look at this. I don't know if this person's a soothsayer or a seer or if they're in our system and they're hacking us. But like, good for them. They knew pretty much what was going to happen.
Very nice. Yeah, Jay loves that information.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've literally just the other day, someone's like, "You're hacking. How did you predict all the champions that came this year?"
Yeah, it's cool to see people. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. Okay, well, we're getting close to the end here. Is there anything you want to discuss about kind of being a Twitch streamer on that side?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big passion of mine, and it's been a somewhat strange balance coming into working for a game company and also doing streaming on my own. So when I first started, we considered literally using my Twitch stream title on the tail end of Kabam, right? Um, and being Kabam Flannel Jax. When I started, the state of the community was a little hairy. So at the time, we were like, let's keep some distance from it. I think over the last few months of me being here, I don't think it's because I've been here, but we've definitely seen the community shift a little bit, and seen a lot more positivity. And so it was the weird secret, the content creator program. Everyone inside of it knew, and you know, the level of support and encouragement within that group is pretty awesome, in that they're all supporting each other, but would also pop in and support my content as well. So that was all very, very cool. And we're at a point, I think, where agreeing to do this interview and prepping with Mike for it, we kind of came to this conclusion that we think it's fine that people know, and it's great if people want to come and hang out. And we're hopeful that people are well-behaved adults if they elect to do so. So it's also kind of different, because the way that I built my stream community was on this basis of positivity, of encouragement, of feeling like you're a part of a team. And you know, our community is called the Flannel Family, and it's a very, very positive, uplifting group. So again, I think the hesitation was pretty palpable, and the nerves of kind of revealing that to the community. But we're at a point of, if people want to come and engage in that fashion and want to just like, the vibe that I tried to establish is, if you were in college and you were just sat on a couch in a room with like 5 or 6 of your friends, and you're just kind of shooting the shit and having a good time and playing games and chatting and enjoying each other, right? So yeah, if people want to come hang out and kind of buy into that mission statement in a sense, fantastic. I'd love to have people from the community. Anytime I see people from MCOC, it's awesome. We have people that'll come in on occasion, just stumble into a stream and be like, oh yeah, I play MCOC. I'm like, that's awesome. Or people from our content creator program that'll come in, and it kind of lights it lights me up. I get really, really excited about it. So it is fun. I have a ton of fun doing it. I really enjoy it. It's what led me to where I am at Kabam, kind of building that community and doing that community management on my own, was basically my only foot in the door going into these interviews, to become a community manager at Kabam. So yeah, I mean, if anyone out there wants to come hang out, you're more than welcome to, over on Twitch, twitch.tv/flanneljax. And if you want to come over and ask for compensation or about bugs on certain things, don't.
Yep.
I knew.
You
I
heard
knew that
it.
was
Don't go
amazing.
over there asking about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jay.
Join the flannel cult. That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
Jawin actually says your posts on the forums have been greatly appreciated. Thanks for bringing all the positivity.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we know it's a place where people come and vent their frustrations, and that's fine. I try to really kind of let people have that voice. And even if we're not responding to stuff, I read just about everything that's posted there. So, you know, I hope that people feel that their voices are being heard, and we're trying to adjust the level of moderations to let you guys, you know, voice your concerns for things. The only time that we really feel the need to get involved is, you know, breaking forum rules or swearing or targeting other people in the forums. And we're just trying to kind of keep it clean so everyone can enjoy their time there. You know what I mean?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you guys want to talk about MCU, or do you want to wrap it up?
Oh, I'm good. I got
good?
time. I'm
Okay.
hanging out. I'm
Okay.
vibing. I'm having a good time with
All
you
right.
guys. If you guys want to keep it
cool.
flying, let me know.
Oh, let's go for 3 hours.
Awesome.
What do you mean?
Easy. Marathon. Let's make it happen.
All right. So what do you guys think about She-Hulk so far? The season just wrapped up, and we got a few cameos.
I'm really glad that I finished it yesterday, because if we came in here and you're like, so about She-Hulk, and I'd be like, no, 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 please.
Yeah, we were gonna make sure you watched it at least.
Yeah. It was funny because there's inevitably when there's a Disney Plus show from the MCU, there's a thread about it in the forums where people will just talk and like, this is full spoilers. And when they started the She-Hulk one, I went in and I was like, listen, I can't watch this for 4 more days. So I can't monitor this thread. You guys behave in here, and I will be back on Monday, and we will talk about this show. I've really enjoyed it. I think they were very clear from the get-go what they wanted it to be, and I think they succeeded in that. I think, understandably, it's not everyone's cup of tea, and I talk about this too much with other people, but I think in general, the MCU has really reached everyone that it's going to reach. Nobody doesn't know about the MCU. So a lot of the freedom they've been given with the Disney Plus shows is to kind of target different demographics in different styles, right? So you look at WandaVision, which was a really, really kind of big step away from the traditional content you'll see in the MCU. And then it's the same with She-Hulk. They say in the first episode, this is a cute lawyer fun show. Like, this is what it is. So I think some of the hate that it's received is frustrating because it wasn't targeted for everyone, and it's okay for people to be disappointed, but for some of the levels of aggression were a bit out of control. But circling back, the finale was very fun, very meta. What did you guys think?
I loved it. It was good. Fantastic.
Yeah, I had fun with it. It's not my favorite Marvel show, but I still enjoy what it does well at. Like, I think the fourth wall breaks was super fun to set, like this newest episode. Like, I think I don't know if anyone's not seen it, so you know I won't say too much spoilers. But the certain scene, like my mom looked at me, it's like, did you mess with the controller?
I was like, I did the same thing. I looked around, I was like, did I sit on this? What's going on? And then I literally said out loud, alone in my apartment, I was like, that's very clever.
Yeah. It was cool, and like all the Easter eggs, like the references, like that's my thing with contests, right? So I look at that in that way, and I've also studied film, so it's been really cool. Like I liked it a lot, and I'm excited to see where its future. She'll tease so much, like just from her dialogue, like oh my
really
goodness.
did. Yeah, it was cool, and again, trying to avoid spoilers, but man, there's moments kind of alluding to potential like movie entrances and maybe nots and stuff like that, and I was like, this is fun the way that they're doing it, and exciting in the way that they're kind of teasing the future of the Disney Plus series versus the MCU and crossover in that capacity as well.
Yeah. Well, let's just say the world needs more Hulks.
So true.
Yeah. And a certain Hulk in it, I won't say who, maybe might be coming to the contest from MROC. We'll see.
Oh,
maybe.
Oh, you think so?
No,
Dude?
I think so. He kind of left MROC and he's coming to the game.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
There was a whole ship of them.
Yeah, there's a whole Gamma Horde coming. More, yeah. I'm excited. Like I always relate to MROC because I saw so many people like commenting about a certain haircut, and I was like, in MROC he looks pretty badass. So, okay. What about? Did you watch Werewolf by Night?
I intend to watch it this evening.
Okay.
I intend to watch it in the next couple hours. I'm
so
curious about it. To me, I'm glad that you like it. I'm glad that there's some positive review there. It's strange to me how quiet it was. That like I didn't know anything about it until like 3 weeks ago, and even now that it is a thing, it just like showed up, and I was like, oh my god, like that's so the opposite of MCU or Disney Plus marketing, where they'll tell you for like a year and a half that it's coming, get ready for it.
Yeah, they switched their marketing where it's like they focus on one thing at a time now, which. Yeah, like Werewolf by Night kind of took the back end of it because it was only like 3 weeks before it comes out. Oh, it's coming out.
Yeah, weird. But okay, but XN, you liked it?
I like it too. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, Jay, you're a fan? Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
The
Cool.
black and white noir feel of it's just really good.
A big fan of Ookie Spooky season. October is my favorite.
Oh yeah,
Um, and
it fits it.
if it does and it does it well, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to bits. Because to me, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I didn't see it for 3, 4 weeks after it came out. And everyone was like, "Oh, I don't really like it because like it's weird. They tried to do some horror stuff." And I was like, "Okay, like that's speaking to me." And then I saw it and I was like, "Yeah, but it tried to do too many things and didn't succeed at any of them."
Yeah, yeah, I do
So
agree with that.
if they kind of knocked it out of the park in a horror sense on this one, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah,
have fun with it for sure.
for
So
sure. Yeah. What do you guys think of shoot, what else just came out? Miss Marvel was out earlier
Hmm.
yeah,
this year.
Miss Marvel never got its hooks into me. Again, I think it's um, I wasn't the target demographic. I think that's just the kind of the nature of the beast. Um, I saw stylistically, I really enjoyed it, but I really only did watch 1 or 2 episodes. It's something I plan to go back to at some point, but it's not something I kept up with week to week. What about you guys?
Yeah, I watched it every week.
I did
Eh,
as well.
Yeah, and did we enjoy it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
Yeah,
there was some parts in it that were a little wishy washy to me, but overall, I thought it was like a wholesome hearted, you know, family show.
yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty
I
cool.
like that. The family part was definitely speaking. I watch all the Marvel stuff with my family, so
Oh,
like,
nice.
yeah, my dad, my mom, my sister, my brother, like we all sit that we like with like Shield. We have to wait till like 9 p.m. to watch it because that's when everyone can be together,
That's so
and
cool.
I like it. So Miss Marvel definitely speak to me with her family. Like I like that. She's a character. She's so relatable because she's this teenager. Like, well, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
not a teenager anymore. I am a young adult, but I'm still like in college, and I still am young, and I definitely relate to her on that, and having to deal with your mistakes and the whole quirkiness as well. I like it.
Yeah, Jay, I know you mentioned earlier that you studied film. I kind of did, but like way back in high school, I was in a school of the arts for drama, so film analysis was part of what we do, and it
Hmm.
stuck with me so much that I can't watch film without a lens of film creation in
Yeah,
some
exactly.
capacity. So it changes the way I watched movies, but at the same time, I'm really excited about the process of how things get made. So to me, it's really cool that the girl who played Miss Marvel, the main
And
character,
mom,
that's her first acting credit. Like I always love that kind of stuff. I think it's so awesome.
She's such a fan too. Like I super relate to her because that's me with like contests, comics, MCU. Like I just relate to her so much on as a fan, and she's a fan in the actual universe,
Yeah,
and on
it's so
top of in
cool.
real life. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's something you guys have convinced me. I'll circle back to it now.
And you'll some of the
yeah,
filming stuff too is really interesting how they do it. So you'll like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Edgar Wright. He's my favorite director.
Yeah.
When he left Ant-Man, I was heartbroken. But there was a lot of I mean, clearly it wasn't him, but it felt like stuff in his image, things that I could see that he would have done in the film direction side of it. So I thought it was really cool. So I'll definitely circle back.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Absolutely, it was definitely a fun show.
Mhm. Mhm, mhm.
And we have such a queen, absolutely. And we have Wakanda Forever next month, like within less
Ooh.
than a month too, actually.
Whoa, yeah, you're right. What is it, the 10th? November 10th?
Yes, I think that's right. I was just looking at a
It's
poster.
somewhere in my calendar, but it's too far for me. Is it the 11th?
Oh yeah, did you
Xander's.
guys get to go to premiere? Because I know Thor 4, the Kabam, got to go to the premiere.
We get together. We don't go to like red carpet premiere or anything like that, but we go as a group to check in on it the day it releases.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. I saw. Sorry,
Um,
Gabe went to the premiere, and that's what I was thinking
yeah,
of.
yeah.
Baller.
It's funny because like we get the question a lot as well for um, New York Comic Con, or
Yeah.
like when is MCOC going to have representation at blank? Keep asking those questions.
Yeah.
Because I think the more people that are like, yeah, you should, then maybe at some point they'll, if the masses agree, then there could be a case made for it. But for me, anytime anything comes up internally where they're like, oh well, this is in LA, I'm like, I'll go. And they're like, you know what? You're grounded. You're not going anywhere. Stop asking now. But yeah, hearing the conversations in the forum about New York Comic Con and stuff like that, and it sounds like it was just an incredible time. I'd love to be able to get out to schmooze with the community in some capacity there.
Yeah, we haven't been either. We want to go. We're waiting.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I can't. I have no insight into whether or not things are happening. But my desire for them to is high.
Let's all get MCOC to NYCC.
Be great, man. Get the MCOC CCP MVP to the NYCC. More letters.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. All acronyms.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if for Wakanda Forever, like you guys obviously can't say, but my predictions was Tuma and M'Baku from like the beginning of the year. So we're gonna see if I'm correct on that.
Oh,
we'll
dang! For the champs coming to the contest in November.
Yeah, next year, like next month. I was like M'Baku. I was at the time we didn't know there was a new Black Panther from the trailer. So I don't know if I'm gonna eat my words on choosing M'Baku over this new Panther or not. But we'll see. Atuma, I definitely feeling it. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
We also have the Guardians holiday special in December, so that's pretty exciting.
I'm kind of going into that a little bit blind. I watched the Groot shorts and I was in love with them. I was like, what is this chaotic pandemonium that's happening in these Groot shorts? This is chaos. What's going on here? So if they kind of take any of that level of humor and bring it over to this Christmas special, or holiday special rather, sorry, I think it'd be really, really cool.
Yeah. My son loves the I Am Groot shorts.
They were so fun.
They're too short. I need more of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's only, 5?
Yeah.
I think so. And they were like at most like 3-5 minutes, some of them.
They were super short.
Yeah.
It was great.
They're like 2 minutes of actual footage, and then the rest is like credits.
8 minutes of credits. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, they should definitely bring back more of the I Am Groot series.
Mm-hmm. I hope they do. I mean, animation of that capacity is so laborious. There are so many people that work on those types of things, even for a short of that size. So hopefully it's something they already have in the works. Because if they just hear us and they're like, yeah, we'll do it, it'll be another like 5 years before we see anything.
They work with so many VFX studios. Like Endgame was like 3 studios. I don't know if you know this, but
it was cool.
If I don't know if you're in the Lord of the Rings, but the Rings of Power has like 20 VFX studios.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
There's a if I'm gonna shout out a random ass YouTube channel that does not need support in any way, there's a channel called Corridor Crew.
Yes, and I love them.
I've watched every episode of VFX Artists Reacts. There was one today. I guess not everyone. I haven't watched it today, but I love that. That's the kind of peek behind the scenes that I like to see, and hearing about all the intricacies. They just talked to names are hard for me. The creator of the Deadpool films and the process and VFX and stunts and stuff on that set was all really cool to hear as well.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I brought Rings of Power, because they just reacted to it today.
Oh yeah, I still have to watch the finale to that, so I got to watch that before I watch their episode, I guess. Then.
Well, they only show stuff from the first few episodes. So.
Okay, perfect. Then I'll watch that.
Yeah, the finale was insane though. Oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
I have not seen it yet.
Dude,
I will.
It's good. $500 million for you to watch it. That's how much they paid.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
It's a big production.
Yeah. Jim brought up, are you guys watching Andor?
Oh, yes. That's good as well.
I have not. I shied away from Star Wars. I couldn't.
What?
I love Star Wars for what it's done for nerd culture. I think it has a really special place that I think is really impressive. So it has my respect. But I watched the original trilogy and the prequels. And there's just so much of it that it's the same thing with comic books, where I waited until my 20s because it was intimidating to get into. And I think it's the same with how much Star Wars content there is now.
Yeah, there's a lot of Star Wars content going on.
Yeah. The Andor show, I think, is going to be wrapping up soon. And then we have the animated Tales of the Jedi. So, Clone Wars.
Was it?
That's all.
Clone Wars
That's one of my favorites.
Was it Star Wars Visions that was like just a anthology of whatever art style you want? Sure, none of it's canon. Just do whatever you want with the Star Wars license. I think that's kind of cool. That feels almost more approachable to me. Maybe that'll get its hooks in me.
Yeah, that was really fun. I was just talking to my graphic design professor about it because we were talking about the Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That's phenomenal.
Oh, cool.
On Netflix.
So cool.
And the studio Trigger, who made that, also did an episode of Visions.
Oh, cool. Arcane, same thing. It's been cool to see video games get really good representation in series recently.
Yeah,
so
Arcane was great. It was so weird. Like I've never seen like that. You've probably watched the Cordic episode on that, the Breaking It Down.
Yeah.
Like the painting on 3D but cool. 2D at the same time. It was like
like 3D characters but 2D effects. Like it's so cool. I don't have an artistic instinct in my brain. I'm very literal. So when I see people do things like music or art or that level of creation on a visual effects side of things, it blows my mind. I have such a level of admiration for it.
Yeah. Anything that like White Mummy does.
White Mummy is so cool. White Mummy has only been brought to my attention recently. The solo incursions, the Doom and the Legion of Doom bots post that they did was so cool.
He puts life into these like static images that like it's kind of cool. Maybe expand me to hire him. Just saying.
I don't know. Maybe sure. I mean, I'll write a letter. What about? Shout out to Cat Murdoch too. I have Cat Murdoch's Kirby guillotine mashup sticker on my phone. That's what's
nice.
Acting as my case. It does not serve as protection, but
what
do you guys how have you guys say again?
I had an Aegon sticker on it, but it's one of her older stickers, so it started rubbing off and I was sad.
Guillotine,
I have a
Kirby's
thermos. I have a thermos, a coffee thermos covered in her stickers, even
Sweet.
with one of with what is it, Stealth Suit Spider-Man. It has my name under it.
That's cool.
With like a 6-star like frame. It's pretty cool.
Shoot.
Yeah, I think you.
Maybe I should get stickers.
It looks just like Imagine Jim's profile picture, but with Stealth Suit.
Oh, cool! I dig that. What do you guys think about the motion comics that came back?
Glad finally. I was telling the clips. I was like, "Come on, comics. Bring it back."
If you guys like them, show them some love, because I don't think it's a circumstance where we know if that's going to be a consistently returning thing. But almost everything that gets done on the marketing side of things, metrics are analyzed. People go through and look at the performance of those things, and sometimes it's hard to make a case for things to continue when, if it's a 2% of the community that enjoys it, it's hard to make a case for it to keep going. So if you love it, show it some love. That's how things continue to exist. Absolutely. When we know that people really like them.
I did a breakdown on it.
I think
I
think we all have come to a consensus that the art team for MCOC just smashes it out of the park every time.
Yep.
And I completely agree. It's another layer of things that I admire because I just couldn't. I could never.
Yeah. Like Xander says, they don't know what L's are. But yeah, Jay, you got anything else over there?
Yeah, I was gonna continue. I keep the motion comics. They were so cool, and I haven't read the event quest. So I don't know if it ties in, but some of the event quests in the motion comics like are like bread and butter, and I that's like
Mhm.
my favorite is when you can nail storytelling in a motion comic and then nail the same storytelling in the event quest dialogue. Like I love that. Um, and yeah, I like the 3D stuff. It's cool, but the story of the motion comic is really compels me to be more invested in the motion comics than
Mhm.
the champion reveal videos.
Yeah, I like the art style. Like the motion comics are pretty minimal in terms of animation and stuff, but I think it works. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, you could do. I don't know if they would work if you could do both the champion reveals and the motion comics. Who knows?
Mm. I uh I mean, everything costs money.
Yeah,
That's what it is. So sometimes it's this or that. So
Yeah.
it'll always depend on what is received
that's true.
best in some capacity.
Yeah. Okay. You got anything else, Jay?
Let me see. Are there any? Someone says Andor is 12 episodes. Then never mind. Yeah, that's awesome. And I know they already confirmed like many seasons, so that's interesting. What do you think about Hercules and Namor casting in the MCU? The Namor casting I love. I love that they changed. I don't know if you guys seen. They've changed Atlantis in Wakanda to be Talakan, and
Yeah, they changed the name because
yeah.
we also had to address the changes in on the branding side of things and just something for us to be aware of.
Yeah. So Atuma, he's Talakan.
Mm.
Okay. But I like it. Obviously, my mom and her mom, my family is from Panama. So
Oh, cool.
from Central Americans to have like this Latino culture and ancient culture from where my family originates from is important to me because there aren't the Mayans and the that hasn't really been touched on by Marvel. It's been a little bit, but to put that in extent and make it land as something so unique, so tied to our actual culture, and instead of being like this fantasy world under the sea, I think is much cooler.
Yeah, I mean, representation's important. And I think it's cool that MCU is in a position to impact so many cultures by, positively representing their those cultures. So I think it's very, very cool that people are excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It makes me excited for stuff like Kashala or others like her to enter the MCU.
Mm-hmm. And
Even
then
maybe a Miles.
Dude,
very
legacy
cool.
characters, I want them, man. Miles is gonna be so important.
Mm, it's true. And then Hercules, Roy Kent. Are you kidding
Yeah, yeah.
me? It's Ted Lasso is probably my favorite show of all time.
Ooh.
It reaches out to me on so many personal levels of like teamwork and leadership and responsibility and stuff like that. So to see Roy Kent, woo!
He's all bulked up.
I know he's a big dude. What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To say I think he fits Hercules. Like, I'm not, he's not as big as that in real life, right? Of course, but the attitude of like adding Roy Kent's character to Hercules like just fits. Unsurprisingly, it's pretty funny.
It makes me very entertained. I think it's fun.
I'm excited for next season. I think what's the last one at Ted Lasso. I'm kind of sad.
I know, but you know what? They're just gonna do it right.
Yeah, that's true.
They're gonna do it right. They're gonna end on their own terms. It's not gonna drag on and take a dip.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Does your chat have any questions?
I wanted to give a quick shout out. Coat Hanger came over to drop a follow on Twitch. Coat Hanger, it's very entertaining seeing your name again because you're written on our whiteboard in the office because of one comment on the forums that I thought was so monumental it needed to be immortalized, and I have it memorized. It says, "You need to spend less time worrying about me and less time annoying people on the forums, and you need to spend more time worrying about being a good person. And I was like, oh, it's perfect. This is the message everyone needs to hear. And so it's written on a board in the office.
Yeah.
Very nice. Shout out to Coat Hanger.
Yeah.
Oh, Slayer.
Right,
we skipped Thor: Love and Thunder. Besides, obviously, the last part of it.
Yeah. We talked about the important part, right?
Yeah, we yeah, we talked about the tie-in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, did you watched it? Because you said you watched it day one. What'd you think about it?
Yeah, we went and saw it day one. I liked it more than I think most people. I think what I wanted from it, they did well, which, coming off of Ragnarok, just letting this cast that's pretty damn entertaining just come in and kind of do their own thing. I love that a lot of it's improvised, and they seem to be having fun. So Hemsworth coming in and just, nailing it as having some relatively comedic moments. I think where it stumbled most was its villain. I think Gore was cool.
Yeah.
I just don't think he was intimidating. Like, we didn't see him do anything that should make everyone scared.
Right.
And then as soon as a key plot point involves wishes, you've lost me. You can't do that. I don't like it.
Yeah, I love Gore from the comics, and I think he was great, like, when he's messing with the children. Like, I just love that. And messing with Valkyrie, like giving that whole speech, like bringing back her past and just that trauma right back to her was insane. Mm-hmm. But you're right, there wasn't no like the gods were like, oh, he's just killing some lower gods. It doesn't matter to us. We're just here. Like, I was like, come on, show that to us.
Yeah. It was such passive storytelling, right? That they're like, you guys should be worried. He's killing people. Like, show us. And then, like, ultimately, as a result, the sword was more intimidating than the person carrying it.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I think the one thing that I really liked about it was the goats.
They were fantastic.
And and Stormbreaker being salty.
Yeah.
That one was fun too, and we had a little fun with that on the marketing team. We put out a tweet that was like the angry girlfriend meme, but it was the two weapons. I thought that was one of our better assets. I think that was really fun.
I love that when you can have like creative freedom with it. I have it on my wallpapers. Somewhere.
Oh, here
awesome. It is. Yeah, there we go. I'll put it in the chat. Oh yeah, I also put this.
There it is.
This video of Chris Hemsworth, like a gigantic, like comedic Mjolnir, just walking around on set. Like, he's like, yeah, I got Mjolnir back. It's just insanely large. Wow.
It's the size of his entire, like, the head of the hammer is the size of his entire torso.
Yeah.
Like, plus some. He's a funny dude. When the pandemic started, he had he released a couple like mindfulness meditation videos, and they're funny. They're very funny. And shout out to anyone who's able to be entertaining in the MCU and also be a part of Cabin in the Woods. I mean, underrated, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so too. You got anything else, Jay? I'm pretty much out of shit.
Oh. I'm just reading whatever we see.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Yes, he is in Cabin in the Woods.
Oh yeah, big time.
Did the goats die? What? The goats are not dead.
No, the goats didn't die.
You'll hear them probably soon. Yeah, and even White Mummy animated the jealous.
Oh my goodness, White Mummy killing it.
Yeah.
Anytime you guys put out a new wallpaper, he pretty much just edits it immediately.
Yeah, he's doing such cool stuff.
Oh, fire! You're asking the okay. So, Jack said it's been talked about to do a narrative roadmap, so nothing official, and it might not happen. So, we'll see. But my guess would be December, just like we had last year.
Yeah, I feel like it's also important, like I said, if you guys like stuff that's being done, let us know. That positive feedback goes a long way, right? We always hear people We hear people when they're angry. Trust me, we hear it. But when people come with stuff, hey, I love this, that's way more motivating. And there's definitely a difference between demanding and requesting, right?
Yeah.
So hearing that positive feedback, it motivates us tremendously.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, the narrative roadmap. I mean, that gives us 3 hours of podcasting time.
Yeah, we did a whole thing where we took the narrative roadmap and the Say the Battleground and just predicted for 3 hours on who we thought was coming this year.
Awesome.
It was awesome. Okay, so Jawin, he asked, is there any updates to Kabam Taps a lot that with the input issues on the horizon?
So the input stuff in general is something that's constantly being evaluated, and some of the productive changes, positive changes I've seen in the last little while is developing new software. So it's is it software? I'm not super technological, but developing essentially new internal tools to be able to fully identify the problems that are, because it's impacting everyone so differently that these tools are going to really show a lot of insight. And some of the CCP have seen and toyed with them and been able to show them on stream and that sort of stuff in terms of reporting full matches and the level of detail it comes through on the other side. And what they can kind of look at on the back end just from being receiving this report and kind of this flag is encouraging. So I know it's something that's a constant conversation, and there's people that is that's their day to day. But yeah, I know when I started, it was a plight. And it's still, it's still not great. We know that that's the case, and it's something that's continuously under wraps. We put it on our beautiful bug board, which I love, and just keep telling people about it. But it's it's something that's been a problem for a long time, and people are continuing to work on it. The perspective of you guys are just leaving it so that we spend more units is definitely not the case. But at the same time, it has proven to be far more elusive than anyone ever expected it to be. So hopefully it's something we can get a good handle on soon.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be nice to play the game as normal without anything like lag or missed inputs or whatever,
Oh, I know it. It was when I started, it was hard to kind of to assimilate into the forums because no matter what the issue was, the inputs became an underlying comment, right? So it was like, oh, there's this bug with the crystals. You guys can't even get the inputs right. And it's like, okay, those are different things. I want to help you, but I can't fix the inputs. I'm sorry, I don't have that power. So it's not forgotten just because there hasn't been a public update about it. It is still being worked on, I promise.
Awesome.
Okay.
It says definitely appreciate all the work that's gone into it. Also, the bug board's a great idea.
Thanks. I'm glad that was a Mike thing that I just encouraged and hoped would come to fruition, and it's awesome. It's just, again, I think it's a level of transparency and not just are you aware of it, but where in the process are you, right? Are you investigating it? Have you found a fix? Is it a fix that'll be coming now? Is it a fix that'll be coming out with the next patch and that sort of stuff? So I love it.
And you're talking about the Trello board, right?
Trello board, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was, whose idea was that? You said that was Mike's?
That was Mike. Mike had been working on it for some time and gone through a few iterations. And by the time I got here and showed some love to it, Mike got it done, man.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely think that was a good way to express some sort of transparency towards what's happening with bugs and what you guys are aware of and not aware of and what's getting fixed and the like, I guess the timeline in which it's getting worked on too.
Yeah. It's a weird balance too, right? Because in some sense it's like it's discouraging. It's removing a necessity for people to go to the forums, which is not what we want. We want people coming to the forums. We want that to happen. But at the same time, we've also created this tool for transparency that if people go to the bug board, they sometimes don't need to come to the forums. So it's kind of like,
Right.
it's like shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess in a sense, but it looks nice.
It looks so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. You got anything else, Jay?
Fire says, "Why is there another champion for Ultron?" Come on, pay attention to MRock. That's Viv Vision. All right, calling it now. Anyways,
Come on.
what I was gonna say is, since we're wrapping up, is there anything you kind of want to shout out? What are you kind of planning on doing for your Twitch?
Yeah, keep an eye on what we let me start over. For me personally, I'm doing a charity stream for Extra Life. Extra Life Charity is a organization that pairs gamers with local children's hospitals, and they have a month-long fundraising all the way through October into November. But every year they have one game day where everyone kind of comes together to create this programming to try and raise money. And our community has been fantastic and generous, and we've raised quite a bit for charity over the years. But this is something that I'm really, really excited for, and it's very, very meaningful to me. So that'll be November 5th. But yeah, keep an eye on MCOC socials and stuff as well, because we have some exciting stuff from a community engagement perspective, potentially on the horizon here. So some stuff I'm not at liberty to discuss, but if comes to fruition, I would be thrilled about.
Okay, interesting.
Again,
That's awesome.
we'll be looking forward for Summoner's Choice.
Yeah,
That's a big one too.
So
yeah, he talked a lot about stuff. I'm really excited. Like my brain is like, can we go there now? let's do it. But yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. All right. I think we're about at the end of it, guys. I want to thank everybody for showing up live, and I want to thank Jay for streaming us live on YouTube. Let's thank our guest Kabam Flannel Jax for joining us on a Saturday evening to talk about work.
Happy to be here, guys.
Yeah, and yeah, thanks again, everybody, for listening, and have a good night.